Thank you for joining to my session in Code PALOUSA USA 2021. This is a conference for 3 days. My session is on Office 365 security with Azure Multi-Factor Authentication today at 8 a.m. Moving on to next slide. This is myself, Prabhat Nigam. I'm a 3 times Microsoft MVP, blogger, speaker, author, father, and a husband. I have over 20 years of experience in IT, and I've worked for almost all IT giants, IBM, Microsoft, name any, and I might have a working relationship with them. I'm a global CTO at this point with my company Golden Five Consulting. We are a US-based gold partner, direct CSP. My email ID is there, and my website is there. I'm also a CEO for LAEXUG Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization in Los Angeles, and that's my email address. And there's my website and blog links. I've been writing a lot on MS Exchange Guru. Many times people call me MS Exchange Guru when they saw me in any conference. That has happened as well. On the right hand side, you can see my links, LinkedIn link, and my Twitter. I'm a universal donor in the blood group. I share my birthday with Microsoft. That's one of the facts I would like to share. I love that portion. I came a couple of years after Microsoft started. So, and I'm MCP, Microsoft certified professional since 1998, and I'm still maintaining that certification level. I'm certified with latest Teams certification and some of the Azure architect expert certification as well. Moving on. We are in the pandemic, COVID pandemic, and it's not ending. Otherwise, we would have had a live public conference, not just an online conference. So if you are vaccinated, remember this chart when you're meeting someone, no prevention measure required if they are also vaccinated. And if they are not, then probably you have to have a prevention measure required. The past more than a year has been too hard on us. We are very sorry for your losses. Delta variant is going on right now in US and maybe some part of other countries as well. So be careful, it's not gone yet. That's my advice. In US, we have the third vaccine shot available for some who need it. My father had COVID. He survived, but he has not recovered his health. So he is still trying to recover his health. He just went to his hospital and get admitted. He is a Air Force retired from Indian Air Force. So he has some facility to go back to the hospital and recover. Everyone stay safe, healthy, and keep doing namastes, and we keep wearing masks, and hoping to come out of the COVID very soon. I recorded last night's numbers of COVID. That's keep growing. We have to do something to let this go down. The way it has gone up, it has to go down. That's our goal. Let's try to do that. This session is sponsored by my company because they are letting me do that, allowing me to come out of my office hours and do it, and sharing the resources. Here are some information about the company: is a gold partner, CSP supplier, authorized reseller, and AOSG partner for US, and located in US, Canada, India. Agenda for today is IT today. How are we dealing? We'll take a very quick peek, and then IT security concerns, and then we'll look into Azure Multi-Factor Authentication, Privilege and Identity Management, Azure Information Protection, and some demo. So today, um, in pandemic or after, now everyone adopted remote working, so it's now critical that some of the other disease coming up. Sometimes we are listening different kind of other disease post COVID coming, now Delta variant coming. So definitely many of us are still not going office, not working from office. So we are working from home remotely. Many of us have a working environment, working office where they can work from. Many of them don't. So that's the critical piece. If you don't have a working infrastructure at home, how are you managing to work? Are you working from your sofa? Are you working from your bed? Are you working from your bathroom? Or are you working from a closet? That matters because that's not the right working condition. Then you have challenges that maybe you are a family, you have a small kid, you have a elder kid, so you have to manage the family as well, and many times you may have to take care of the family as a priority because they are in front of you, and that's your goal, to fix and take care of them first, and then come back to your work infrastructure. So maybe you left your laptop unlocked, and some of your friend came in or somebody else came in, and he thought he has to access some data from his USB, and USB had some virus, and here you go, your infected USB has infected company's data, and everybody don't know what happened. It's just a matter of 5 minutes. It just happened quickly. That's no office thing. So when you have a office, everything's so regulated. No one just can come to your desk and just touch it. They're all under the watch of the camera. Um, Similarly, um, so life is tough. So that's we have to pick that. Okay, do the IT, pick up your laptop, secure it first, and then you take care of the family, or you have to decide. Okay, um, save myself, save my life, or protect my computer. So you will definitely save your life first, and then look for the computer. So if that's the choice, that's the toughest piece. That's where we're living in today. It's tough environment, tough infrastructure, tough to manage everything. But there are resources available which we can try and use it, so that we can protect, and that we can come out of that kind of issues and culture. Um, so today's IT concern, which is one of the main thing that we are getting attacked. This is the biggest news I've ever heard. An IT service company got attacked by ransomware. It's called Lockbit. Accenture is such a big company, has been my customer through Microsoft, and a direct customer. I have worked for Accenture. I have helped them moving their email gateway from 4P to EOP. I've run their health check for actually for information protection, which is one of the topic of the day. So such a company, I always appreciate their effort, what they do. When they got attacked, it was a shocker for me. But one of the reasons which we discussed earlier could be one of them why it got attacked. Someone left the door open. It cannot happen um, automatically. It cannot just happen by just somebody hitting trying, and they got the door open. They were trying, but somebody left the door open. That's why it happened. Then cryptocurrency theft. Then Kaseya ransomware attack. So these are some examples I just wanted to put together to tell that okay, there's a lot of things happening, but then we cannot just make a count. Because it's keep on happening. The attacks are keep on happening. We are getting a lot of ransom demands. Accenture's first one. Accenture says that they have no loss with their ransomware, whereas the attacker says that we're gonna release the file in the dark web. That's what is happening. But I don't believe that if you get a ransomware attack that you may be completely safe. But it's just hard to believe that you were attacked and you were safe. So at that place, it's a questionable thing that okay, maybe you're not willing to say it publicly that okay, we got attacked, but we have this issue. But it's better if they say it. At least your customer know that they were under attack, and they may not keep a relationship with you, but then you can work in the cure rather than if you say we are not attacked and no one works in the cure. One thing I always recommend to somebody, follow the guidelines of CISA.gov. They are very prompt, very active in releasing the updates. They're talking to different companies, talking to what are the releases coming from other other companies who got attacked, or they're preventive, or Microsoft releasing some updates, or another company releasing some updates. They just keep updating here the current activity. So if you're concerned about ransomware attack security, just keep following this. You can also register there, so you'll get the uh, regular emails from them as well. Now, biggest point to consider from all of this is your friend is your enemy. Um, uh, I want to just say your friend is your enemy. Sorry about it. So this is my practice, that, or my overview, that your friend is your enemy, which means somebody left internally the ports open, and that's why you got attacked all of a sudden. That's We have to take it, consider it seriously. So we have to have a no trust policy in the IT world. That, okay, this is my friend, but I'm not gonna still allow them to stay here with my laptop, and by any chance they might have a USB and they would like to connect, right? So lock it all the time. Lock your laptop all the time. So as a company, prepare to lock all those parameters as well. Now moving on to Azure Multi-Factor Authentication. Why it's important that we have a second factor of authentication? Because anyone can log into your laptop, but as soon as they log in, they may get a prompt that, hey, uh, do the MFA. And you are traveling, or you went out to the kitchen with your phone, and you could see that, oh, somebody logged into computer, you got an MFA prompt, and you immediately can come back and say, hey boss, this is not my personal computer, this is my office computer, I cannot allow you to log in here, so please get off from this laptop and use the other one which is lying in the living room, so that you can protect your and company's data this way. um, that's one example. So second factor identity is a validation. It is you that who's authenticating to this application, to this laptop, to wherever you are logging in exactly. So second factor authentication, in my view, is very critical, very important. I don't prefer to use the USB key to authenticate, because then I mean, anyone can steal my USB key, or I lose the USB key, then what? So that's one of the things which we try to avoid. It's better we have a software-based token which comes to the phone. You accept it. That's the second way is better. Um, then multiple vendors offering multi-factor authentication. If you're not using Microsoft, you can still use multi-factor authentication from other providers. So look for that. But there's no limit. That there's no way to escape that. There are so many vendors available. There many of them are free. There many of them are associated with the website. If you have a website and you like to administrate, you have the MFA available there as well, so you can manage another vendor's MFA as well. Um, what it does is, definitely multi-factor authentication stops auto login by any malware. Imagine if you have malware which is reading your keystrokes from the keyboard. Next time malware will try to log in, yeah, it'll get an MFA, and MFA will fail because you will say, oh, I'm not logging in, so why will I accept it? And that's a critical piece. When you see any multi-factor authentication prompt on your phone, don't just accept it. The moment you accept it, you're allowing somebody to come in without realizing that it's you or not. So if it is, you're getting multiple prompts, you have an application which is requesting, and you are aware. Ensure that piece. If you're not ensuring, that's a critical thing with you in your organization. You have to see that you get enough multi-factor authentication prompt, and you're accepting it by knowing you are using that application. If you're not using, feel free to deny. That's better option than allowing. We have the customers who are using multi-factor authentication for all the applications, even for remote desktop protocol, even for VPN, and that's critical. That's how they have taken this thing seriously. That okay, I'm getting MFA. I'm on my phone. I'm finding my phone. Like for myself, I keep my phone always with me. That's one reason, because I get a lot of security prompts all the time. But that's how the life has become, that we have to protect everything. So it's okay to do a little more work towards accepting authentication while it's prompting every now and then. Just wanted to check in the chat side if everything is okay there. Okay, looks okay, chat. Okay, so moving on to privileged identity management, which is the bigger piece of today's session. There's a lot of talks, a lot of discussions happen, how, why privileged identity management is important. So privileged identity management restricts your admins to be the admins all the time. That's main and critical. That if you're not required to be admin, why I have to be admin overnight? Why I have to be admin when I'm out of office? Why I have to be admin while I'm on a weekend and playing with my family? So that's where privileged identity management comes into play and say, okay, when you're not supposed to be admin, you're not admin, and restrict and monitors all the time, not just one time. You just keep watching you. You're coming in, going out, it's logging in, logging out. It has all the track, who logged in, who took the access. It even informs the supervisor if you have added them. If it can also inform a security officer as you request or configure it. So privileged identity management enforces on-demand or just-in-time access. It also enforces multi-factor authentication. So that's one thing, that okay, you want to enable privileged identity management. You logged in, maybe at the login you never got the MFA, but when you go to privileged identity management, it will enforce multi-factor authentication to give you the access. You get authenticated using MFA. Then you provide a justification why you need to log in, and if you have configured notification to the administrators will be notified that hey, XYZ person is logging in to the network for this reason, and that's how it will move forward. And that okay, everyone in the security team probably is aware that you're logging in. And if required, you can also configure so to some specific rules, or maybe for all roles, that there is a manager who is going to approve your authentication. But that adds up a little more time. It's optional, not always recommended, but it depends on the organization to organization. You may still want it. So that could be another thing to choose. How privileged identity management works in the lifespan. So admin requests privileged identity management access to high-risk task, which could be adding a new email domain to your Office 365. Then designated approver to approve it. If you have a designated approver to approve, that goes to that person. Then you get approval. You log in. You do your task, and then your privileges expire after a specific interval of time. That's automatically it expires. So imagine you're working. If you have a 4-hour time window, maybe you have to work more than 4 hours. That's okay. But if your organization have set up the parameter for 4 hours, your privilege will expire in 4 hours. Then you have to go back and get the access again. So at the step 4, the privilege expires after a specific interval, and admin has no longer access after that. So your next step go back to the same. You start again, and if you need more time, log in again, get the access again, and keep working. Again, I'm going to show the PIM workflow. So your user needs to activate their privileged identity management to perform the task. It requests a user request here, identity, and it goes to the security administrator, MFA. I mean, obviously, it requires you to log in through MFA. Once your MFA is done, it alerts the administrator about the out of band changes, that okay, something is happening, somebody logged in, and he's the person who validated MFA, and the user privileges are pre-configured and given to that amount of time, and um, and then you log in and do your job. But at the same time, security admins can discover all privileges, identities, audit, and review everyone who is eligible to activate via access review as well. Now, this is the most recommended Microsoft model which we are working in today. First of all, encrypt your everything. So basically, you're using HTTPS, which is a web URL, which is a web, which is instant. When you're accessing something, you have the encryption. Make sure that every certificate requires to access is updated. Last time we heard that someone forgot to upgrade Microsoft certificate, and that stopped the access, which is a good thing that it stopped the access because the certificate expired. Rather, it had allowed even with the expired certificate. So the security would have been compromised. Rather doing that, somebody forgot to update. Microsoft said no, if it is not updated, not allowed. That's it. So that from a security point of view, it was a very good thing that okay, certificate is not updated, you are not allowed. That's prevents unauthorized access to unsecured ports. Definitely. So even just that's data at the connectivity, but data at rest is also good to encrypt. So all your laptops, all your disks, all your devices, wherever you have an option, please encrypt. User BitLocker encryption, encrypt your disk. That's more important. So anything is encrypted cannot be re-encrypted. So that's one more thing to understand. So encrypted devices. Then when you have once that is the first level of layer, then you move to the role-based access management. So you have configured role-based access management. So some user will be only user admin, other may be global admins in Office 365. So they have the different privileges. They can do n number of tasks and number of things based on their role, and then based on conditional access you can also control. Okay, you can do this, but if you are in maybe in some other country where you're not supposed to be, your conditional access will not work. So that could be another level of security with role-based access control. When you do that, you also added Azure AD Privileged Identity Management, and that blocks another level after you have the access, but you cannot get access because you have configured Privileged Identity Management. So you have to log in to get the access. So this is the third or fourth level of privilege or protection you have on the data or on the configuration. And then we can also have the privileged access management. So that could be that if you have the privilege on that particular data, then you can access that. That could be more granular privileged access management. We are not talking about it, but this is the model which we recommend, which we say that this is the best secure model available, that you have a 4 to 5 level of security in this. So reaching to the lowest layer is privileged access management. Moving on to the next topic is the Azure Information Protection. Before we go, let's check if everything is working well. I think so. All right. So Azure Information Protection. What does Azure Information Protection do? It protects your data while it's going out of your organization, and even when it is staying in your organization. It encrypts your email. You can encrypt, restrict the permissions that okay, my friend uh, can only see the email, cannot forward, print, or save it. This is just FYI email, or he can forward, but the email is still encrypted. It is not a unencrypted email. Same way, we can also encrypt the the, the files which we are attaching, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Just add the encryption the way you want that file to be encrypted and share with anyone. So that file is, suppose you give a read-only permission to everyone, so they can only see, okay, this is a Word file, but it has only read-only permission, so no one can edit, no one can print, no one can save it, but they can just read it through. So that's another thing on the file level. Recently, Microsoft released double key encryption, that's last year, and double key encryption, what it does is it blocks Microsoft side of the key. So it has two keys, but it doesn't allow Microsoft to log in from the backdoor in case you have a key loss. So, for example, the user who left who had encrypted the data has left the organization. Then you have an option to use the backdoor key to decrypt the data as an administrator. So you have the administrator assigned. Administrator can go and say unlock this encrypted data, and administrator can unlock it. But when you apply a double key encryption, that's where only the one who had locked it can only decrypt it. Administrator loses that control. There's no way Microsoft can go from the back door and decrypt the data. So this could be a key thing for many of the users who are writing some patent, some new things which never came, and were worried that if we keep that data, which might be the patent for tomorrow, might get into the wrong hands, and they may lose their patent. But now with double key encryption, they can move with all of their data, and they will find it safe and easy and be in comfort. Then Microsoft went to another level where Microsoft is also encrypting your SharePoint online data. That was expected, right? But then what was not expected is now Microsoft is also offering to encrypt on-premises data in the NAS or anywhere you are keeping. Microsoft can encrypt it and you can keep the data there, or it can also apply a direct policy if you have attached a NAS publicly to that portal, that it can also encrypt the full NAS or shared drive. And Microsoft is keep on evolving. They have also some beta coming for Azure. So Azure Information Protection is keep evolving and going in that direction. Moving on to a quick demo. Again, the demo is sponsored by Golden Five, my company. So coming out of this screen and moving to the demo really quickly, we are running out of time. So what I did was I had already logged in as administrator to my G5 Cloud, and I can just quickly go through what all we can do with the at a configuration point of view. So first thing I wanted to pick is a multi-factor authentication configuration, which can be configured here. That in the conditional access. So you allow trusted countries. You add and say, okay, I trust these countries. If these are the trusted countries, then I want them to access, or my data can be accessed from these countries only. So Canada, India, US. So we have allowed those as a trusted countries. More than that, you can also configure MFA trust IPs. So okay, more than that, you can also allow some other configuration for multi-factor authentication. Uh, you can also bypass multi-factor authentication if you have a trusted IP where you think everything's going to be safe. Um, and then you can also configure the validation methods and also configure allow user to remember MFA on their trusted devices. Trusted devices can be hybrid AD joint devices. So coming back to conditional access, the policy where you can define is here, where you can just go and allow all the users to use. Here you can say all users, or you can say some specific users. You can say all users, or none, or selected users. In either case, you can also exclude some of your breakout accounts, so you don't lock yourself. Then there are more options for the apps. However, we'll not go there. The main things to see here is the action, where when those conditions matching, we can allow we can request MFA, and if required, if you have the administrators, you can set more controls that require hybrid ready joint computer or something else. Moving on from here, we can move to privilege identity management. So I'm going to Azure for that. Um, Here's the active uh, privilege identity management prompt, and you have to go to left hand side here and say your Azure AD roles, and if you go to the roles, then you can see the assignments here that shows that what is the current eligibility right now. We have the active assignment because we are not managing or not using privilege identity management here, but this is where everyone who has the privilege comes in. But this is the user whom I have assigned Teams administrator or user administrator in the privilege identity management. What you can do, you can also look for what is the configuration of that particular role. So I can go to user, or even change it, user administrator, and here is the setting where I can see what are the configurations. So if I access as a user administrator, I get 4 hours of privilege time. I need to do the provide justification. I don't need to provide a ticket number. I need to do the MFA, and that's it. So this is all for this part of the configuration. Now I can go to log in at the admin.microsoft.com as this user, and let's see how it works for privilege identity management. D5 UA at on golden5.com. Here I'm typing the password, and my password is not gonna tell. So when I try to log in, you can see I don't have the privilege, I don't have the access to go there and authenticate. So now I need to look for privilege identity management link. As a hacker, I don't have that. I don't know where to go. So I look for the link, and then I can log in to that location. So that's very important. I have saved it to my OneNote. I will open it and find out. Okay, so here is the link which I have saved. I just copy this link and go back to my browser and try to log in. As I've logged in, it took my authentication in the same browser as the cached, but now it prompts me to activate which role I would like to activate. This is, I'm going to activate user administrator, so I click on activate. Now it's validating the request. My MFA was not active, so it is telling me additional verification required. I click on it and it gives me the multi-factor authentication prompt on my phone. I had my phone next to me. Now I know I'm requesting this login. I click on approve and I drop my phone back, and within few seconds it authenticated me to privileged identity management. So that's where I have also given you a demo of multi-factor authentication, how it works. Now it's not done yet, so just see what I'm doing next. I can also schedule later start time and probably end it earlier as well. So I'm not customizing. I'm saying okay, 4 hours fine. I can also reduce it. I cannot increase it. So I cannot go more. Maybe I say okay, I just need it for 1 hour. That's it. Just need to create a new user who has joined today. Okay, and I click on activate. Now you see the process. This is a 3-step process. Stage 1, process your request and activate your role. Then validate that your activation is successful. Then activation completed successfully will come. That's now it's validating. Okay, at this point, we got the access. This part is done. Now, it may go back to the same screen or not. It doesn't matter. Now, if I see active assignment, I can see my role is activated, and it is it will end at 9:47 because I selected 1 hour. Right now it's 8:48. It was activated 1 hour back. And if I'm done, I can come back and say deactivate. If I'm done before time. So, but if I come back to the same screen and I say refresh, I may not get it. So I may have to come out and try again, because it will take at least a couple of minutes to add your permissions back. So I always come out, mostly close the browser and try to log in again. Let's see without closing the browser if it works, or it may need more time, but let me see. Okay. And here you go. Now I have the privileged access management allowed me. I can log into admin center and use do my task, and I can be now I can finish my job and go. This is my login, and when I'm done, I can say okay, bye bye from here, sign out, and probably I can say deactivate. I hope it didn't sign me off. Okay, now my role has been deactivated. Now if I refresh here, there's the deactivation link is gone. Probably it will remove me from here shortly. So this is the privileged identity management which we have seen today. Now we can Now we can look into the Azure Information Protection. So I'll use a couple of blank slide or files to show how it works or how it looks like. We'll see in quick second. So first, how it looks like for the end user. This is one way to view that. Okay, you have a bar coming here, and that allows you which kind of fit label you want to allow, and that can be assigned. For example, I'm assigning this document confidential. Uh, Here is my SSN. Here is my credit card. Um, I need a loan of 5 millions to buy a home in Malibu. Okay. And I'm going to be sending this to a realtor or someone who can run a credit or bank who can run a credit or give me an authorization. So I'm saving this, but this is a very secure document. So whom I want to give the access, that I configure it confidential. So I say, okay, hey, recipient, I think if I give the view only permission, it should be good enough. And then I can configure an email address, which could be my company's email address, or it could be outside as well. So I configure a Gmail account of mine and move on. So it's Gmail has the access, and I know that this guy will be done in a week's time. So I give from today to 27th. On 27th, his access will expire. If he try to open this document after 27th, he will not be able to open. That's important and key factor, that you have assigned permission to another person for only a week. This is information protection. This is encryption. It has encrypted the document. Similarly, if you have to send an email, you can use a similar functions or configurations. Let me open my Outlook and see if I'm able to if I can do that as well. While this is happening, we can go to the compliance manager and see the information protection configuration, which is Azure Information Protection. And here there are two parts of that. When you have to configure, one is you have to configure a label, and second is you have to configure a label policy to target the audience. So here our organization has configured multiple labels: internal, public, confidential, org viewer, and double key encryption. Double key encryption has a lot of configuration, so you have to do the other configuration in Azure, create an app, add the app, configure that access in Azure, and then you can only use that. And double key encryption is only for files, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and not for email yet. I think I was talking to the Microsoft PM who owns it. He's a friend of mine, and he said probably in the last quarter we may release double key encryption for emails too. So we'll see. Let's wait and watch. However, we can take a look of the confidential configuration which we have. There's nothing to hide there. It's just a configuration. So the scope here we have assigned to everything where this label can be applied, and then you can encrypt the files and mark the content of the file. However, this is main thing. What we have done here is, if you are using this label, then you have a do not forward policy applies to the emails. At the same time, if you are using a Word, Excel, PowerPoint, then you will be getting a prompt to configure the permissions. So when you do that, then that's where it goes. That's how it works. And in the next portion, it just adds a text, sensitivity, confidential email, confidential encrypted content, restrictions from print, forward, and copy. This is what we are adding. We can add a custom text, whatever we like. Auto enabling on the file and email we have not allowed. We don't want this to be the primary policy or primary label. And It's just a matter of other configuration, and just that's it. Now we go to the uh, policy, and we can see what are the configurations there. I have to add which labels to be part of this policy. Then I have to add who will be able to use it. I want everyone to use it. So we have assigned that. And then you want to configure if you have to have a default label, or when you're changing this label, do you have to provide a justification why we're changing it, and so on. Now, if we see, I have the Outlook opened quickly. I can see my all the labels showing up here. And only thing is that if I am just configuring email encryption, you have to use as a sub configuration, and then only you can do that email encryption. So that's where subtile. You have to have a drop-down menu, then only it will show up. Also, one more consideration point. Right now, we need to install unified client for AIP for most of the clients because of double key encryption. If you are not using double key encryption, you don't have to install it. If you install latest Office from Microsoft, you don't need to install. Sensitivity comes configured there, and you will see this kind of a link under the message tab, and you can enable or disable. You can add this confidential, and then you can send to recipient, and recipient cannot print forward or copy the content from here. All right, so that ends the demo. I'll go back to the slide, a couple of more slides to finish off. I don't think it's going to take more than 30 seconds, and then we'll call it a day from our side. As my company is sponsoring, they requested to show that, okay, we are offering some discount here. If you are going to buy Office 365 licenses from us, from Golden 5, use the discount code PAL USA 2020, and email to this ID sales@golden5.net, and any new purchases or even renewals will get discount if you fall in these licensing requests. Definitely for these licenses we don't get any discount from Microsoft. We cannot pass it. Alright, my company also offers Azure Virtual Desktop, so if you have any requirement, also reach out to the sales group and they will also help you getting into that. If you need to connect with me more to know more, I have my Twitter handle, I have my Facebook groups, and my YouTube channel is there too, and my LinkedIn groups and my Meetup user groups as well. I can look into the chat for the questions, and if there's no question, then thank you everyone for joining me. And let me go back to the. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm checking in the QA. I don't see any questions. So here I will end my session. Thank you everyone for joining me today, and have a nice day ahead.